be discussing all of this at our new next panel discussion featuring Javier Jiménez, Vice President of Engineering at MaxLinear, Andreas Schlapka, Managing Director of amsOSRAM, Reza Purtoosi, Senior Director of Software Design Engineering Analog Devices, and Iñigo Artundo, CEO of Hitachi Valencia Photonics. A round of applause for them.
Okay. Thank you very much for the introduction, and thank you all for attending this last panel. I know in Spain we usually have late lunch, but this is a bit extreme. Apologies, we'll try to be as fast as possible. And well, we wanted to use the opportunity in this Valencia Silicon Forum to have a little bit of time in this panel to introduce the big multinationals that are actually having a division here in Valencia, because as you know, Valencia is one of the strongest regions in semiconductors in Europe. Clearly one of the most, probably the most in Spain, and that's because historically there has been the presence of these multinationals here in Valencia city, Valencia region. So I'd like to introduce first to well, Javier from MaxLinear, Vice President of Engineering. We have Andreas from amsOSRAM, General Manager of Advanced Analog Solutions. And we have also Reza, who is from Analog Devices, Senior Director of Software Design Engineering. Thank you for joining me on this panel. And myself, Iñigo Artundo from VLC-Photonics, also part of Hitachi. So I'll start by breaking the ice of making a quick introduction about yourselves, about your companies, and also let us know, well, from your point of view, from your perspective, where do you see, well, obviously the biggest market opportunities nowadays in your respective fields? So maybe, Javier, if you can start.
Okay, thank you, Iñigo. So first, about myself, I'm a local guy. I study here and I start my career here. And I work in a startup company first, DS2, and then to Marvell Semiconductors, and from 2017 in MaxLinear, right? So I also worked a couple of years at the university, at Polytechnic University at the very beginning, right? That's about me in a nutshell. About MaxLinear, it's a fabless company. It's smaller companies than the other companies in the panel. It's based in the US. Our products are communication, leading edge communications, system on chips. That's what we do. Okay, we have 4 different markets: broadband, connectivity, infrastructure, and industrial. So it looks like a lot of things for the size of the company that we have. Okay, and specifically in this site in Spain or in Valencia, where we are, we do all actually. Okay, we have been in many different products from these 9 years, and also we experienced some of those products to be a new markets for the company, right? I want to highlight a couple of them. One is the wireless access. So we did 5G transceivers and now an open radio access network chip competing with analog devices on this. Okay, so it was new for the company, so we enjoyed from the very beginning. And the other one, which is the one that we are working on right now, is communications for the data centers. Okay, we do a chip called DSP for transceivers. Okay, and coming back to your point about the growth, this is now the area that is the biggest growth short term for the company. Okay, so if you combine in Valencia, we are leading this development of this product, which is right now we have one in production, but we are leading the next generation, right? So this will be, for next years, will the main growth of the company. Actually, during the previous break, I got a question, why is MaxLinear stock increased so much in a couple of months, right? 5x in 2 months, right? So, and this is because of the market, I think, really recognize now that we are a real driver of the market. So they recognize, and then the stock went crazy.
Yeah, thank you. Andreas.
Yeah, my name is Andreas Schlapka. I'm heading a sensors business line within amsOSRAM. I'm based in Munich, Germany, but we have a sizable R&D team here. Maybe quick introduction about amsOSRAM. So we are a leading digital photonics player globally, that with a headquarter in Graz, Austria, but with a global setup. We are focusing on one hand on LEDs, so light emitting silicon. On the other hand, on sensors, including light sensitive, all kind of light sensitive sensors, which we're building. Here in Valencia, we have one of our 25 design centers globally. And here we are focused on medical products, end-to-end responsibility, so the full products are developed here. To your question about the interesting markets for us, some are very related, obviously. The data center topic is a very big one. There we're looking into optical communications. But all AI-related topics are driving big changes in the market. Sometimes it's obvious, like in the data center space. Sometimes within the end application, it's not as visible, but drives a lot of change and a lot of need for additional sensors in my space, which drives the business forward. In the automotive sector, for example, we have products for AR, VR, so going into the glasses in future. So there's a lot of AI-related topics coming along the way.
Thank you, Andrea. So Reza, please.
Sure. Thank you. This is Reza Purtoosi. I'm Senior Director of Software Engineering in Analog Devices. Thank you very much for having me, and sorry I'm between you and your lunch. I'm roughly 21 years in Analog Devices, and Analog Devices is providing components and solutions for diversity of applications like industrial, robotics, aerospace and defense and communications and healthcare and data center and energy. And in general, what we are observing is increasing demand by our customers and by the business to have more integration of the solutions inside the ASIC. And that's what we are doing with providing enough level of software ecosystem on top of the solutions that we have. And based on your question, we are in a very interesting situation of the business because now AI is increasing that demand. And where we are involved in both directions of edge AI delivery to customers on different business units, as well as getting involved in AI infrastructure building, like getting involved in data center and energy. So we are observing a lot of opportunities for future and revenue on this market.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. If I may share also our perspective from the photonics point of view, as a company in VLC-Photonics, we provide engineering services for the development of photonic integrated circuits, and as part of Hitachi High-Tech, they do many other things like semiconductor equipment, medical equipment, etc. But clearly, where we see, at least from our perspective on photonic integration technology, the biggest growth, as you have mentioned before, is optical communications, driven mostly by AI and high-performance computing. This is by far the biggest market nowadays for this technology. And it's true that also there are other markets coming in, like LiDAR, like biophotonic sensing, quantum, but still nowadays and for the foreseeable future in the next 2-3 years, clearly optical communications is the market driver. So we have seen that semiconductors have evolved over the last years, or decades, I would say, from single components to more advanced enablers, strategic enablers, I would say, of full systems, and I would say even industries as well, right? But now in the last year, we are seeing tremendous, I would say, tectonic shift of technologies in different fields. So in your perspective at each of your domains, what do you think have been and are being nowadays the biggest technological shifts? And also what are the risks associated to that? Let's start maybe with Andreas now.
Sure.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Thank you. So maybe let me use the automotive example, which part of my team is working on. So in automotive, you have a trend to concentrate compute. Software-defined vehicle is the term for it, and it basically means instead of having hundreds of little compute units distributed through the car, you try to bring them together in a central unit, allowing the use of AI, basically. This sounds very simple, but is a huge architectural change, because now for our sensors at the edge, you don't have a microcontroller, an embedded system sitting next by, right? So you need to measure whatever you're measuring and then provide only the relevant data to this central compute unit, which requires local processing of the data, different means of communication, and a completely new specification of your devices at the edge, right? Now, this is kind of from a hardware point of view, but if you look from a business model point of view, this changes as well, because so far in automotive, the big tier ones were the integrators of that technology, software, microcontrollers, sensors, and this is not the case anymore. In many cases, the software sits central, so the OEMs own the software, and that means this tier one in between is out of a sudden missing. On one hand, it's good. It provides an area for growth in our industry. On the other hand, some of that expertise, which we're sitting in the tier ones, is not available, neither on the OEM side, nor on our side as a component supplier. And building up that expertise, hiring the right people, setting up teams to manage those systems instead of the component is a challenge we're facing right now as an industry, is what I think. Just using the example of automotive, but I'm sure that's applicable to many other parts of the industry as well.
Yeah, automotive has been pretty central for European industry in the last decades. Reza?
Similar to what we heard, what I can see in semiconductor as a shift, and it's not just last year, we have observed this from a couple of years ago. Customers don't want to see only components from us. Customers expect solutions. And solutions means the whole hardware ecosystem plus the whole software ecosystem. So in the past couple of years, this ecosystem was just connecting different components, showing the functionality of a specific feature. On the area that I'm more focused with my team, we are on aerospace defense and communications, and we have observed this already. Now they need more of these kind of solutions to be integrated inside the ASIC. And having new process nodes, I think this integration is possible. And on the new advanced technologies that we are delivering to customers, we are delivering full solutions inside the ASIC plus the whole software ecosystem. So it's very hard to find in recent designs that we have in different areas, something which has no embedded processor inside, because of different levels of algorithms and different levels of signal processing integration, and it needs to come with good level of software SDK and software ecosystem. So now we are at next level with customers that they don't ask only for solution, they ask for software ecosystem first, and then they look for the hardware solution that they are going to have, and that is going to shift the whole technology, I believe, among big companies.
No, absolutely. This system level integration now is defining everything. Javier?
Okay, in MaxLinear case, it's a bit different because for some time we are not doing components, we are already doing system on chips. But those systems, those chips, are part of a bigger system as well, right? So we have some time already with this type of challenges. But now I see the major shift right now is the pace of the market. Okay, in data centers, everyone is getting a lot of money, in a hurry, and that is impacting also in how we do things. Okay, because I mean, for example, we are working in 4.32 nanometers, right? So manufacturing time is long, but customers want things earlier. Once you have a chip, they want in their premises as soon as possible, right? So you need to get the software ready. You bring up chips in parallel. You work with them, and then there's a risk of running too much, right? Because the pressure of the market, right? But the chip is very expensive as well. You cannot make any mistake. It's too expensive. It's too expensive because it's a lot of money. It's too expensive because you don't reach the market window, right? So this is, for me, one of the biggest challenges we are facing right now, how we increase the speed, but we keep the safety in our procedures, and the procedures need to change. AI, it's coming to help on this, but also comes with new risks. Okay, so for me, this is your second part of the question was the risk. One is how to really adopt AI in a safe way, because we want to increase the speed. But there's another risk related to the first question for me, is that we all three commented about data centers. Okay, this for me is like a wave now. We are surfing a wave. We're enjoying surfing the wave. A lot of excitement, but it's a wave. At some point, it will break. The wave will break, right? So that's another part of the risk, because if you scale yourself to be so fast and do so many things, because AI will require also to think faster, okay? You need to think about how to mitigate the risk of when the wave is break. So in this sense, what MaxLinear is doing is that we are not betting everything on data centers. We have a lot of additional portfolio, another type of communications that we cannot forget or not keep improving this other. So we know that we are enjoying this, but it will come at some point. It will be a different thing, right?
Yes, yes. Wave, bubble, we'll
yeah,
see, right?
You can tell.
I fully agree on the speed challenge. I read the other day a quote by the new Intel CEO, Lip Bhutan, and he was saying that respin of a design gets you fired at Intel. So that's the pressure you have to deliver at first time right.
Yes. Yeah, and it so happened that you are doing a new respin before getting the previous one.
Yes.
So you cannot get the feedback. So it's becoming really...
It's very crazy, yes, indeed. And AI is accelerating all this. From the photonics point of view, we also see the same challenges. The pressure on delivering new generation of optical transceivers for intra and inter data center communications, and even in the rack is tremendous. And the biggest challenges for foundries, actually, for silicon photonics foundries, is to develop the processes and mature the processes quick enough. And also, not only that, but not stop developing the materials, because you will need for next generation 1.6 terabit, 3.2 terabit and beyond, you will need to introduce new materials that are not silicon, right? You will need to introduce indium phosphide, you will need to introduce thin film lithium niobate, or barium titanate, or polymers, and CMOS foundries are not used to work with that. Mm-hmm. So this is tremendous technological challenges. Okay, so we have seen on the previous panel the challenges also on talent, right? All of our companies are growing tremendously, and we all struggle with talent. How do you face this talent issue in your companies? And is there any other factor that is limiting your growth at this stage to surf this wave? Maybe Javier or Reza, let's start with you, Reza.
Sure. I think we look at this regionally. On every region, we have different culture. And what I can see is that in terms of talent development, we have very good understanding about the roadmap that we have and current situation that we have in terms of talents we get. One of the good opportunities we have in Valencia, I believe the good opportunity is that there is very good connection between industry and university here. So great credit to people who are involved in this process. Even new grad people I get from University of Valencia here, I see them, they get absorbed in the business very quickly, and they can start engineering from day one when they get hired. So I believe that one of the key points that we are pushing for is having the right connection between industry and university. One example I can give you is that maybe 10 years ago, when we wanted to hire embedded software engineer, in general, we had problem, because every software engineer was thinking that, okay, embedded software is software. So it took some time to have embedded system as part of university curriculum. I believe that we have good opportunities to even improve that one more in terms of the roadmap that we see on the future, in terms of more domains, as well as more AI kind of activities for developments in the future. So that's one piece that we are doing. The other thing is not relevant to talents, but relevant to what we do with customers. So our relationship with customers is not supplier and demanders. That's definitely part of the business. But to be able to have good understanding about the future, we are working with customers as partners. So the way that we do, especially in Europe, is that we have some centers in Europe to be co-developing with customers in place. And that's also a very good point for our new engineers who got hired to learn that process and understand our customers' vision and be participating in that.
Yeah, I agree. Oh, yeah.
Okay, so first, Reza, thanks for the words for the local talent. I totally agree with this. On top of what you commented, I think the other aspect, I mean, I can't provide more details because I'm local. So this is not just by chance that happens, right? So we did a big effort, the companies here, to work together as a cluster, right? Because we all compete for the same pool of talent, right? So we work together on how to improve, increase, accelerate that pool. Okay, so we are competing on other things in this as well, but we're working together on this specific item. So I think this is key in this ecosystem. So, and thanks to the universities as well that we work with them as well very closely. So also the Spanish government helped with this chair program, which is funding part of it. So I think it's a very good system, okay, that if there's someone from the government that you need to extend, okay. But this is addressing part of the talent, right? The junior talent, as you said, is great, right? But we also have gaps in very experienced people, right? Because when I started 20-something years ago, it was a desert here in microelectronics, right? So there's not a lot of experienced people working here for a long time, right? So we need to attract people, in addition to the ones they are building during all these years. So how we attract? For me, the best way that we have right now to attract, independent of the environment that others need to take care of, is having good projects, okay, real projects that people enjoy. So those senior people, they want to be part of the challenge that we can share with them, right? This is one. And the other one is, in those projects, to have ownership. Because experienced people don't come to do minor things, right? They want to own things. So I think it took a while for big companies to get the confidence on this is doable here. Right now, I think we did a good job. So big companies, big guys like them are coming here, and we created confidence. So I think slowly we are creating this, okay? And the other aspect is AI. AI will need to rebalance the skills as well. So we need to address this in each of our companies. Learning, training, hiring, we need to rebalance all of this because there's adjustments need to be done, right?
Yeah, indeed. I fully agree with you on the age part, because coming from photonics, photonics is still quite young if compared to the other semiconductor technologies. I was actually very impressed to see that the average age in open chip is 37.
Yeah,
that is not usual in photonics. No. Yeah, Andrea. Yes.
I want to pick up on a couple of your thoughts, right? Because I like them very much. Starting out with AI, I think AI will change significantly the kind of talents we need. Because many of those entry-level, easy, repetitive tasks we have to execute today will be automated in future, right? So they will go away. Even more important, where I very much agree with you, is to have independent responsibility in our local design centers. Owning a product, owning a development from the beginning to the end is essential, right? That kind of motivates the experienced people, but also motivates the younger ones joining a team because they know what the result is, what the outcome is. So totally agree with you there. Our experience here in Valencia is also very good. So we find good talent, right? I mean, starting from interns, but actually, ideally, we would start even earlier in schools, right? Motivating kids to take on technical subjects, and I have to agree with what was said in the forum before, right? I would like to see a more diverse group, right? More females, basically, in engineering studies, right? To hire then into our companies at junior, and then, you know, retaining that talent. It's important to have those experienced senior people on the team who mentor the young ones, who build that expertise, which we will desperately need. The more those easy tasks go away, the more the easy jobs and the entry-level jobs will go away, and we need architects, right? We need people who decide what the chip is looking like, not just mechanically building it. So as I said, from a global view, a very good environment here, a good access to talent. I think it's very much on us to retain, build, keep people on the path to be very senior and stay with the company.
Yeah, fully agree with you on the early interest of young generations into, in general, science and technology.
Yeah.
Few months ago, I was in the school of my daughter. She's 8 years old, trying to explain them what a microchip is and how microchips are fabricated. It's a very fun experience, but you really need to nurture these new generations, because by the time they are in high school and deciding what to do at the university time, it's too late. You have lost them already. I wanted to raise also another challenge. I'm not sure if you have that challenge as well on your companies, because we do put a lot of effort at VLC-Photonics to train and educate our people and train and recruit in photonics. And we are part of this university chairs program. We have a photonics chair with the UPB University here. We are also part of this Spanish Competence Center on Photonics. It's called PIX Spain. But still, I mean, we get all this talent, but it's not the only factor that is limiting growth. There is one important one as well, which I would like to share with you, which is decision making. I think you made that, Javier, that point. When the market is moving that fast, as we are seeing nowadays in all these areas, decision making at big multinational companies and big corporates is maybe not as fast as we would like to, because we come from a startup point of view, right? And this is also a challenge to limiting growth as well.
Yeah, you're totally right, Iñigo. If I see from my point of view, I've been in a startup, then in a bigger company like Marvell, and now in a medium-sized, let's say, a semiconductor company. So we are at the middle. So we are at a size that we can be part of the decisions. We are maybe not the key decision makers here in Spain, but we do some decisions. And the company is agile. It's able to be agile. It's not easy. It's not easy to be agile and do decision making. Many cases so fast that you don't have all the information that in the past you got to take the decisions. Okay, but it's important. For example, let me bring some example. Okay, of a decision of MaxLinear, right? So MaxLinear took a decision for the product we are sampling now is the 1.6 terabit per second. The DSP took the decision to do it in Samsung. Okay, our previous generation in production is in TSMC. Okay, it was a hard decision because Samsung is not as mature as TSMC, right? And the main risk was to make it work. You have very high performance in a not as mature technology, right? So then for me, this is like a shifting the risk. You shift the risk of supply chain in TSMC to design risk in another foundry, right? So we took that challenge, we took that decision, and now this part of the reward, right? Big risks get big rewards, right? Now the market says, okay, we have an alternative, right? If all others are in TSMC and there's one more in Samsung, it's a bigger alternative, right? So all these decisions is not that we are making here, but we are part of it. We are providing feedback. We took the challenge at the end. We commit, okay, let's do it, right? So it's very important nowadays to be decision making is AI is not going to replace.
I would like to raise one last topic for discussion. We have seen that, as we have seen before in the previous presentations, supply chains are becoming more fragile, more dependent on geopolitical situations and decision-making by governments. As companies that have presence in many countries and are spread all over the world, what's your view on that? How do you operate under these constraints? How this impacts your growth? And especially, how do you balance the developments of in-house due to outsourcing things that may complicate it on things like intellectual property, etc. And more especially, maybe if you can comment from the European perspective, how do you think, we have seen the presentation by the European Commission on the new Chips Act, how do you think this can contribute to European sovereignty? or what can be done on that respect? Let's start by Reza, for example.
Sure. I think one of the major shifts I have seen is moving towards diversification on the supply chain. So in the past, everything was linear, and I believe it cannot be linear anymore. So what we have started in our company, and I believe it is going to continue, in that diversification, we should also pay attention that we cannot be self-sufficient anymore. Technology is growing very quickly, and with that growing technology, you cannot be fully on in-house design. Of course, on whatever you are going towards open source or using from outsourcing, there is some level of risk for sure. But I believe that we need to see ourselves as part of the ecosystem, not just linear supply chain. And as long as you look yourself as part of the ecosystem, you should see how you can be the essential part of that ecosystem by having your differentiation, not trying to be just self-sufficient. In that case, partnership is the key. What I see in Europe is that there are a lot of areas that we have very good opportunities in Europe. In Europe, we have very good opportunities in terms of power electronics, in terms of research for new IP development, security, and I believe that if in Europe we can scale these developments fast, definitely they can be part of that ecosystem and partnering with the rest of the companies.
Absolutely, yes. Andreas?
So in an ideal world, I would like to have separated value chains, right, for each region, North America, Europe, and China. But I don't think in our industry that's doable. That's just too expensive to triple the efforts for a product development, for production, and so on. So what we are doing is we are using a hybrid, basically. We are historically very strong in Europe. We're increasing our team in China. And then we'll selectively see where is a product needed and better running. Is it in Europe, in China, or in other regions? We are also partnering up with external teams to help us develop our product. Very successful example in Japan, for example, where time zone, culture, way of working is way different. Having a local partner there turns out to be super helpful. Back to your original question, what does it mean for Europe? I think there is a strong opportunity for Europe to innovate, right? Because if you look at a product portfolio, the most profitable, fastest growing products are usually the ones super innovative. Now, difficult for big companies to be super innovative because of the risk involved, right? But taking that risk and driving the super innovative products, I think pays off. If you look at our team here in Valencia, they're specialized in CT scanners, right? And it's very rewarding if you walk into a doctor's office or if you walk into a clinic, you have to get a CT and know your products you've developed here are in that CT scanner. So that's kind of the feedback loop which motivates the team and is super helpful. So innovate if possible is my recommendation.
Yeah, in our case, we are mostly working with internal resources. We don't have a lot of partnerships in the company, okay? It's good and bad. I mean, good because we have a full control, right? And less dependencies, right? But it's true that you want to scale. It's much more difficult if you rely on internal resources, okay? So, but on the other hand, we are agile, we are brave, so we can switch quickly as well if we need. That's, I think, is in our DNA, and that help in case that we need to do it, okay? And coming to Europe, I mean, my view, I mean, we are a fabless company, okay? So if you just focus on this, I think the talent that we are building, okay, because it's what we are doing. We are doing products, but we are building talent as well, right? So that will keep, right? It's not that overnight people in Valencia will move to somewhere else, okay? It will keep. It can be another company, it can be a new company, whatever, right? So this is the part I think we can contribute more, right? Because this is our focus. So building talent will keep and will enable good things happening here.
Yeah, absolutely. You have lived through all this change of companies in the same place, same location.
Exactly.
Okay, so thanks a lot. I would like to then close this panel. Thank you, Javier. Thank you, Andreas. Thank you, Reza, for your contributions. And then I think everybody's eager to go for lunch, so thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.